Hey guys, so we miss you at Recharge. We miss you on Wednesday night, and I know life is a little bit different, but with different brings new opportunities. So what we're going to talk about for the next 3 weeks is where to go from here with the Bible. So we'll talk about some practical things for the next 3 weeks, and then we're going to get into the story of Ruth, and hopefully by that point we'll be coming back. I don't know, maybe May. We'll see. So. One of the difficult things right now is honoring people. And the Bible talks a lot about honor and respect in many different ways and to many different groups of people. Children to parents, we see sibling relationships, we see people to their governing rulers. Well, for them it would have been kings, but for us, it would be our president or those above us, our teachers, our bosses, which is also brought up in Scripture. But even the older generation inside of the church is how, like, we as younger people and how people of the older generation, how do we interact and show respect to one another? And so today what we're going to talk about is a little bit of those things. Being stuck at home, and I've already faced this a little bit, you don't realize how short you get with people. You don't realize how annoyed you get with people. Until someone points it out, but a lot of times, especially in our culture, we're a very passive culture, and so we typically don't tell anybody to straight up like, "Hey, that kind of hurts my feelings," or "Hey, you're being very disrespectful right now." And so, how do we handle these things? For one, us as a teenager; two, as a citizen of the U.S., whether you agree or disagree with what's going on right now. How do we deal with this thing as people of God's kingdom, and where do we go with what's going on at the moment? So for you and I, as a child of a parent, right? Obviously a child of somebody, what do you do at home? Whether your parents are believers or not, what about your siblings? Because everybody's getting short. Small spaces get real annoying real quick. But this is a good time for you to, one, love on your family, to get to know your family more, whether it be your siblings or parents, and to show them God's work in your own life, especially if you are a Christian and your parents are not. And so as we read the Bible, even in the Ten Commandments, and this is mentioned throughout all of Scripture, every time it's brought up, when it says, children, obey your parents, because it is the first command with a promise. And the promise is that you'll have a blessing because of it, because of you honoring your parents, even if they are difficult. You are going to be blessed because of that. And in the sense of, this is also brought up later, and this could be for the unbelieving spouse. The Bible talks about how you respond to your unbelieving spouse. It shows them Christ. Though they may not want to hear about it or hear someone else talk about it or go to church with you, but what they see in your life is what's really going to make a difference. And so, especially right now, what people see in our lives at home, right? How our siblings or family members, but also what people see, what we post online, the things that we do online, and how we, one, talk about our officials, family members, friends, people around us. That has a huge effect on what people see in Christianity. Secondly is, how do we be citizens of the U.S. right now? Because one, it's so different in every place, right? Every state has different laws and how they're handling things differently. And in Texas, every county is very different because, Dallas County, Tarrant County, all the, like, Johnson County, all these counties right here, the ones right in Houston, the ones right in San Antonio, right? These big cities, like, that's where the problems are coming from. But if you go out to, I don't know, what's a small city? Sulphur Springs. I guess Sulphur Springs is kind of big. Mount Vernon, Texas. It's a small one. It's got, like, I don't know, 2,000 people maybe. What about, like, their rules are obviously going to be different than ours. And so how do we honor that? And so, I go to the park every day. I go for a jog. And some people are out there, they're jogging, they're working out, saying hi, waving, and trying to be respectful of the distancing rule, whether they agree with it or not, but they're trying to be respectful of it. But there's a large group of people who are playing basketball. There's a lot of group of people just sitting there hanging out in the park. And those are the things that, make the government go, hey, we're talking about shutting down parks because people can't obey the law that we've asked them to obey. Or some parks are just taking off the rims off the basketball goals because people can't seem to stop playing basketball. and how frustrating that gets. And so they're trying not to get to the point where they find and arrest people. But they have to keep going farther and farther and farther because so many people aren't listening and obeying. And again, I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just saying the reality of the situation is this has been what has been asked of us, and us as Christians who are trying to honor and show Christ's respect and love for his people and his creation, should abide by the rules that we have been given. And then the biggest question that it seems like I'm getting a lot is, how are we as Christians supposed to respond in multiple different ways? One is us as the church, especially in like how we as Connect, or how the Lake, or how Central, or how Park Springs, whatever local church we're a part of, how are we investing in the community around us? Connect's a smaller church. We're about 250, and we have limited resources. Where the Lake, who's a church of about 1,500 to 2,000, they have a lot larger resources and are able to do a lot of things. And so maybe what some smaller churches are partnering with larger churches to have a bigger effect, where they can go into the hospitals and do those things. And some smaller churches are really just doing a great job of dropping stuff off at their elderly population. They're just dropping stuff at their house, meeting those needs, meeting the needs of families that are getting sick, right? We had someone in our church that had a family member die from the coronavirus in a different state. We also had someone who fearfully thought they also had the coronavirus, and we try to meet those needs during that time. Luckily, and thank God, they don't have it. But that is what part of our responsibility as a church to do, is to meet the needs of others. But then the next one, and the big one, is, how do we as the church still meet, or should we still meet? And the answer to should we still meet is absolutely yes. Part of the joy of church is having that body and community. And at this point, and honestly, we've only been stuck in a room for, I think, a full week. Even the most introverted people are probably about to start going crazy. And so the reality is that we need that human interaction and contact, and especially outside of our families. I love my wife, but I'm glad that she talks to her siblings. I talk to my siblings. We talk to our friends still a lot, and it kind of helps us not be so short because we're having that interaction. And for us, there's a lot of different ways to have that interaction. One is, right, we do YouTube videos, we do Sunday morning videos, we post stuff on Instagram and Facebook, but also we have Zoom calls. We have FaceTime, which is awesome. Google Hangout. There's a lot of ways to have face-to-face interaction. Yeah, we can't high five, hug, whatever. Like, we can't have the physical contact, but we can still have that face-to-face interaction that is provided by technology. And I know this is very frustrating, especially for people in the church. And some people are taking it as the government doesn't want us to be together. Well, the government doesn't want anybody to be together at the moment, not just churches. We're not being called out and persecuted in this moment, in the sense of Christianity is the worst and they should be allowed to gather. It's that we don't want anybody gathering. And what's actually kind of cool is us as churches, they're even saying, like, you can have your full staff there. We just ask that they're 6 feet apart. So if we can have up to 50 at a church at the moment, that might change later. But right now we can have up to 50 people in the building. It's just they need to be 6 feet apart. And if we need, obviously what we do doesn't take 50 people. It really takes about 10. So we're able to follow all the guidelines super easy. Where we can all be 6 feet apart, run everything safely. And so, in fact, they're encouraging it, going, we just don't want you to gather together, but we want you to gather online. We want you to still hold your services. We want you to still do things for Easter and Good Friday and things of that nature. We just ask that you be 6 feet apart. And I know it's just not the same as being in person. But if this would happen even just 10 years ago, this would make things a lot more difficult. But we have the blessing of FaceTime, Zoom, Google Hangout, whatever, where we can't have the face-to-face interaction. So don't, as in Hebrews, and we've talked about this a lot, don't forsake the gatherings. Don't stop meeting with people. Don't stop having those conversations and relationships. We just have to be more creative and use the tools that God has given us. And luckily, technology, as Frozen says, is both our way to success and our demise. Thank you, Olaf, the great philosopher. Let's use it for our greater good at the moment, and try to take away some of the bad stuff that we see going up right now, which is right, like the wasteful things on the internet, pornography, things we shouldn't be watching, seeing, gambling, like all those things that are useless. Let's get rid of those and use technology for what it's for. Enjoy a movie with friends. Netflix has like a stinking whatever, like theater mode that all of us can get online and watch the same movie at the same time. Let's do that. Let's get on Zoom and watch a TV. Let's play a game on Zoom. We can, Tim and I played a game on Zoom with a couple of our other friends the other day. There are ways to use these things successfully and still to be the church today. Obviously, sharing our faith looks very different at the moment. And maybe you need to go online and talk about the things that God has been doing and working and showing and what you're thankful for during this time. Because right now, I will admit, I'm thankful for technology. I get to FaceTime and do these things. I'm thankful for, honestly, the sunshine that has been out the last couple of days that has been really making me feel better. I know rain is supposed to come, but that's April. That's just normal. That's just April. So I'm not super bummed or worried about the rain at the moment. But I'm very thankful that we're still able to go outside and be active and go for walks. And so if you just need a running partner, we can run together. You know what I'm saying? So we miss you guys. We love you guys. Hope this is encouraging to you. We've been proud of you. We got to talk to almost everyone in our group. Keep up with you and parents. If you do need anything, please let us know. If you just need to talk because you're going crazy, we'll talk. Love you guys.
Beautiful.